During an interview on CNN this past Monday, independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. actually suggested that President Biden is in fact the bigger threat to democracy than Donald Trump. Now, let me read you what Bobby said, but before I do that, I do want to remind everybody that Bobby Kennedy Jr. was in fact one of the first hosts here on Ring of Fire. Him and Mike Papantonio started this. Papantonio started it. Kennedy came on board and they hosted Ring of Fire together for many years. Bobby has not been a part of Ring of Fire for almost 10 years, I guess. But either way, I did in the past work with him, remotely. He was in New York. I'm down here in Florida. I only met him a handful of times for a few minutes each time. So I just want to preface this story with that because I have actually, because of that, really avoided talking about him, to be honest. And I do believe that everybody deserves my honesty on this issue. And that is why I have not spent a lot of time talking about Bobby. But this story came along, and this is one that I absolutely cannot ignore. Here is what Bobby said on CNN Monday evening. Started off talking about Trump. Him trying to overthrow the election clearly is a threat to democracy. Okay, so right out of the gate, Bobby's not saying that Trump's not a threat. He did attempt to overturn the results of the 2020 election, overthrowing essentially the democratically elected president of the United States. So yeah, that's a threat to democracy. But then Bobby continues. But the question was, who is a worse threat to democracy? And what I would say is, I'm not going to answer that question, but I can argue that President Biden is. Now, then Bobby continued. The greatest threat to democracy is not someone who questions election returns, but rather, he suggested, it was President Biden's administration coordinating somehow with social media companies to censor Americans. Now, what happened is Bobby, a couple years ago, had his Instagram account temporarily taken down because of what he was saying about vaccines. So we all know Bobby's stance on those, especially the COVID vaccine. But Instagram took his page down for what Instagram Meta called medical misinformation. And Bobby thinks that him not being allowed to spread his vaccine misinformation on Instagram is somehow a bigger threat to democracy than the guy that actually tried to overturn the democracy. Now that to me is just a mind-blowing amount of narcissism and a healthy amount of misinformation too. Because let's not forget that even in Matt Taibbi's much-hyped Twitter files, there wasn't actually coordination between the Biden administration and the social media companies with regard to the Biden administration ordering social media companies to remove certain misinformation. Nope. That's not what happened at all. What happened is that the Biden administration, and by the way, all the way going back through the Trump administration, is that you had the Centers for Disease Control, you had the health agencies of the federal government reaching out to social media companies saying, hey, we're in the middle of a deadly pandemic where thousands of people are dying every single week. This post that we came across is misinformation about what's happening. It's misinformation about the vaccines, misinformation about the treatments, misinformation about the virus itself. Does this violate your guidelines, your terms of engagement? That's all they asked. They said, please review this and see if it violates your terms of service. They didn't say, get this off your site right now. Ban this person, censor this guy. That didn't ever happen. Okay? So the Biden administration did not, and I repeat, did not direct any social media company to ban, delete, or deactivate any account. To say otherwise is a lie. Okay? So Bobby's own premise there of why Biden is a bigger threat is based on misinformation. It's based on right-wing talking points. And you know what? I'm not going to fault the federal government. I'm not in favor of censorship. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not going to fault them when we're in the middle of a global pandemic and we finally get a vaccine that can help save people from the worst effects of this virus. And then you have people out there making shit up left and right, posting it on social media, screwing with people's minds to where, oh, well, I don't know what's true. Should I listen to the actual scientists or should I listen to the people who pretend to be scientists? And the government simply said, hey, social media companies, you have terms of service here, and we're pretty sure this violates them. Take a look at it. That's it. I am okay with the federal government doing that. And I think you should too. And let's also not forget, by the way, that there is a little something called police powers, right? Where the federal government actually could have stepped in and argued that for the health, safety, and welfare of the American public, they could have requested these people being banned, and they didn't. Okay? So they actually showed a little bit of restraint. So yes, I take issue with what Bobby said here about Biden being a bigger threat. Yeah, sorry your Instagram account got temporarily deactivated. But I don't think in any way, shape, or form that you, a narcissist getting kicked off of Instagram for a while, is a threat to our democracy. Well, folks, we have crossed that 1 million subscriber milestone, but rest assured, we are just getting started here at Ring of Fire. So if you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel and make sure to like, share, and comment on the videos.